What's up, everybody? Michael Johnson here with the Business Choreography Podcast. I'm excited you joined me today because we have a very special guest today. We are so lucky and privileged to have Andy Buyting with us. He is a leader in business development and marketing. His business development strategies have served both himself and his clients exceedingly well. Andy's thought leadership journey started when he published his first business book way back in 2007 and started publishing his first magazines in 2009. Since that time, he has leveraged an integrated approach to print, digital, and interactive media strategies to establish himself as a thought leader in business development and brand positioning. We are so lucky to have him here today to share with us his wisdom and knowledge from his journey. Let's cue the intro and we'll jump right in. Listen, there's a lot to learn when growing and scaling your business.
That's why we created the Business Choreography Podcast, where we talk about choreographing your marketing, operations, and sales into dynamic systems that increase your revenue and your impact.
We'll explore solid business principles and discuss all things that make businesses dance to success with clarity.
We'll help you figure out where the holes are in your business and what you can do to fix them. Think of us as your official business choreographers, aka your insider growth strategists.
Remember, your choreography matters. Welcome to the Business Choreography Podcast. Andy, thank you so much for joining us on the show. It's great to have you here.
I'm excited to be here, Michael. Really looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, I can't let you get away without telling us your backstory. I love it. Love to hear about how you got here, doing what you're doing now, serving the people that you're serving. There is always a crazy winding road, and I am never, ever disappointed. So when I get a chance, I love to hear how you got here. So let's start from the beginning. Give us the journey.
All right. Well, I will say that, so I grew up in family business myself, and out of college, at university, I went in and I started working for my father, took the business over, and we grew it. We grew it about sixfold in about 10 years. And personally, I always loved marketing. I loved marketing right from the early days. And I loved especially interactive marketing, like direct with the consumer. We were in the retail business, and I started a printed newsletter in 1992 when I first entered into the business.
Wow.
Dating myself a little bit there. But and people would fill out forms by hand, and I would manually enter them into a Microsoft DBase program. I don't know if you remember that program,
yes.
A database program, so that I could pull and print mailing labels and talk to our customers directly every quarter. And so I always loved marketing. And then, as the business went on and evolved, and then social media came, then, there was blogs, there's social media, there's all this stuff that came into play. And when I exited the family business in 2010, I was thinking, okay, what's the next chapter of my life going to be? Again, always loved marketing. And it was interesting when we were in that business, I started that newsletter in the early 90s. And, at one point we were 4 times a year, we're sending out 30,000 newsletters to our customers. It was pricey. It was an investment, but it was the absolute best marketing we did. I was at a conclave, or a business conclave in Boston, and a mentor and teacher of mine, Vern Harris, she said, you need to own the ink in your industry. Whatever your customers are reading, have it come from you. This was in the early 2000s. So I took that concept back, and long story short, we turned our newsletter into a actual full-blown, full color, we went from an 8-page newsletter to a 32-page magazine. Wow. And we were publishing 4 times a year. Our suppliers were helping us sponsor it to help cover some of the cost. And anyway, in 2010, when I was reinventing myself, I actually took that magazine concept and we started this company, Tulip Media Group, and we did customized magazines for garden centers, for furniture stores. We went into the business route, did it for insurance agencies, law offices, manufacturers, healthcare providers, all these different businesses, and with this customized magazine concept. And we got really good at creating good content for the magazines. And then that eventually evolved, it didn't take long, to evolve where we're creating we became really good, the Tulip Media team became really good at doing competitive analysis so that we can do keyword strategies and creating content that would perform on blogs. And then the digital side just took off, where we're now doing, just as much digital as we are with customized magazines, but customized magazines are still a big thing.
Wow.
So it's been an interesting journey, and that's where we are today.
Holy cow. I have so many questions. First of all, the fact that you've been involved in that space in printed media, I just kind of want to point out to the audience, now we're knee deep, maybe head deep in the digital marketing area. And I think a lot of people think that printing is gone, and it is so not gone. It is so valuable, and there are so many cool things you can do with it. And so it's always a pleasure to meet somebody that gets it and that has been in it. But talk a little bit about that element. I mean, this idea that everything has to be digital. I mean, me personally, I still am sort of a nerd and take all of the stuff that's sent to me in my mailbox that's printed, and I'm like, oh, check this out. Oh, look at this.
Yeah, exactly.
But talk to me a little bit about that side of it.
Sure. So when we started, especially when we were just doing the customized magazines, it was interesting. We actually, at one point, we hired, Tulip Media hired a research firm to do some research. I mean, long story short, there was a number of findings, but print media had a printed magazine had a shelf life of 26 days. A printed newsletter was 7 days, but a digital piece of content was in the moment, was immediate. You either consumed it right there and then, or you did not consume it.
Right.
How many times you go back to an article on LinkedIn? You either consume it in the moment, or 99 times out of 100, it's not consumed.
Right.
So that was interesting. And also, it was, I think it was 2018, something like that. Deloitte published a study, and the title of the study is that digital is growing, but print is not dead. And in there, depending on the type of genre of content you're putting out, so for instance, if it's business content, even if I email you an article, 86% of the time, if I email someone an article, they will print it out and then read it.
Really?
Isn't that interesting, eh?
Wow.
So, print has a lot more value. So, I mean, this is one of our own magazines. So we publish our own magazine. But when you mail somebody something, whether it's a newsletter or a magazine or a brochure or whatever, it shows that you're valuing that relationship. The content is more apt to be consumed because it'll stick around. Somebody will take this home and it'll lie around their coffee table for a week or more, or a lot longer. It'll be read by more than one person, and it just solidifies that relationship because it's so much more valuable than digital. So it has so many benefits. And one thing I always say when I keynote in front of groups, I said, your most uncluttered inbox that you own is your mailbox. Think about it, right? How many emails, junk emails, like unless there's like 2 or 3 newsletters that I subscribe to that I really like, every other one I immediately actually goes into an unsubscribe folder, and they all get deleted. I actually never look at them. I keep the 2 or 3 2 or 3 that I want to read on a regular basis. I have them come into my inbox, but the rest of them I don't even, I've automated the process of ignoring them.
Right.
But if somebody sends me something, I'm going to at least touch it, feel it, and I'm going to make a decision in that moment, but at least it's being delivered to me.
Right.
Which is interesting, right? And even like a good friend and a marketing guru like Joe Polish, he says all the time, he said, we're going back to print. We're getting more results from our direct mail than all the digital that we've been doing over the last, number of decades.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, and I think there's just so much to the kinesthetic side of it that you mentioned. It's so valuable. And I think also the intrinsic value that comes from having something tangible
Yeah.
is just amazing. And I think with all of the social media, with all that content, that's such a great point.
Yeah.
You know, you said you made an exit in 2010 from your family business. Was that a natural exit, or was it like, okay, I got to get out and do this on my own?
It was a little bit of both, but it was a natural exit. But it was interesting because I was also coming to the realization that although I love the people in the business and the industry, you know, like the way I put it to one of my mentors, and actually he's the one who pointed out. He said, "You got into this business because your dad was in the business. It wasn't one that I chose and created and launched and so on." So I thought, you know what, you're actually right. And I was growing frustrated, and I was enjoying the industry, but it was not my passion. And I thought, you know, if I could create a company, you know, if I could create a company by design that did everything that I wanted it to, like what would that look like? One of my first things was, well, it's going to be somewhere in marketing because I love marketing. I find if you get marketing right, sales is almost a non-issue because, you know, I think it's Dan Kennedy that says, you know, any problem can be solved with the right sales letter. You get
Right.
the messaging right, sales is actually quite easy. So I love marketing. And when I formed Tula Media, it was kind of an extension of everything that I really enjoyed. And it was because it was interesting. So we were in the retail home and garden business. And I thought this could be a really interesting business because we were publishing our own magazines for a few years at this point. It was getting a lot of actually national attention because we were doing something that most retailers don't do.
Right.
You know, people don't publish their own magazine unless you're Costco or Home Depot, right?
Right.
But we were doing it with just a few locations. And I had a number of garden center operators said, you know, could you do something like that for me? Like, and in my mind, I kept saying no, 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 because it was too distracting.
Right.
But when I decided, you know what, I'm going to go out on my own and do something that I want to do. And I brought this idea. I thought this could be interesting. So I brought this idea to a meeting where there's a bunch of garden centers, and I presented the concept. And I thought, you know, if I get 6 people on board, that's 6 people out of 20 in the room. That's a really good indicator that, you know, I've got something here that people may value. Anyway, I presented, and I walked out with 12 purchase orders,
Oh my
12
God.
out of 20 people that I presented to, all in
Wow.
one shot. And I thought, wow, this could be a whole business.
Right. Right.
So we started it. We launched Tula Media. You know, started out of the basement of my house with a couple of contract. Well, actually, I outsourced everything, and then I started hiring people, and then it's just grown and grown and grown. And we've got a really, I call it it's a small but hugely mighty team because we still work with a lot of contractors, but on different activities. But anything that's client facing, client partner facing, it's one of our team members. And the Tulip team is it's full of really smart people. That was one of the things that if I created a company by design, it was going to be filled with really smart people that are self-motivated, that will get stuff done and just push each other and challenge each other to greatness. And that's what we've done.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
You know, the idea of a customized magazine, you know, you said it perfectly earlier, and I love it when it's those mentor moments where somebody says something and you're like, oh my gosh. So the thing that stuck out to me was you need to own ink in your industry. And what a cool phrase. Like that instantly is stuck in my head, and I my brain is going wild with it right now. So I want to talk a little bit more about this idea of a customized magazine, because I think when most people, I'll raise my hand, think of a magazine, you're like, oh, that's for like those big publishing companies, and that's for, you know, that's not for me and my business. So holy cow, like you're messing up my paradigm. So you got to help me here.
Well, at the time, like I said, we were doing newsletters. So you can picture, like, we were doing 8 pages, 2-color newsletters, right? You can picture those. You've gotten those from, maybe it's a law firm, or who knows, your dental office. You've seen those, and that's not too outrageous to think of. It's the same thing, except for it's put on, it's full color. It's put on glossy paper,
Right.
and it's just more of it. So instead of having an 8-page 2-color newsletter, which we did for like whatever it was, 18 years or 16 years, I never did the math, to a 32-page full gloss magazine. And when we were launching this, because that mentor of mine was saying, you need to own the ink in your industry. You need to be the absolute, the authority in your industry. And I said, well, what does that look like for me? Because I was still like I was trying to grasp, what does this look like? Now, this is in 2004 when I first had this conversation. So it was before social media and everything else, right? Blogs were just kind of, I think I know what a blog is, but wasn't really a thing yet. And he said, Andy, why don't you, you're in retail home and garden space, why don't you write a series of gardening books or publish your own magazine? He just threw it out there. I thought, interesting idea. But later that night, I was thinking more and more about it and thinking, we do that newsletter. It's not that far-fetched to do a magazine instead.
Right.
And what was interesting is when we put it all together, the cost was 3 times higher. It was more expensive. But then one of the young ladies in our office said, at that time we were selling a lot of Scott's fertilizer and Crocs, those shoes. We had master dealers and those, and doing different things. And she said, I bet Scott's fertilizer we could use co-op ad dollars to advertise in our own magazine. That was a light bulb moment. So we went through and we actually approached Scott's, Crocs, a bunch of different brands that we were selling a lot of their product. And we actually put ads in our own magazine. And at the end of the day, our net cost after the ads, the co-op ad dollars, and some of the companies started buying ads in our magazine, our overall net cost actually went down.
Wow.
So we went from 30,000 newsletters to 30,000 magazines printed and distributed through the postal system in people's mailboxes every quarter, and our net cost went down. And that's when it was just, we just need to keep doing this and expand on it.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next big thought process is, that's really cool, Andy. You're saying do a magazine. You were already doing a newsletter. That sounds like a whole lot of writing and copywriting and finding people to put content. And I got to run my business. So
I have stuff to do.
I got stuff to do. How am I going to do that? So what's the secret here?
So when we went to market and we said we're going to get into this business, we quickly realized that, it took us a little while to develop our strategy, but it wasn't that long. We quickly realized the pillars that we need to lean on to grow this business and scale this business. And one, we boil it down to we call it our 3 E's brand promise. We want to make it easy, effective, and enjoyable. Okay. So enjoyable, we have lots of fun with our client. We call them client partners because we're in partnership with them. So we have a lot of fun with our client partners. We're sending gifts. If we hear about, just the other day, they said that for 2 folks with one of our client partners out west, we sent them a gift card to their favorite sushi restaurant that was around the corner that they were raving about on the last call. So we find ways to have fun with them. The second one was make it effective. So we go through great lengths with the digital side of the business. We can measure that. What we sell there are actual qualified leads in your mailbox, in your inbox, or booked in your calendar. So we have a program around that. With the magazines, we do it through surveys and through feedback, but we want to make sure it's effective. But the first one, we want to make it easy because that's the biggest bottleneck. Putting together a 32-page magazine, that's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah.
Well, early on, we took the approach that if we can logistically take it off your hands, we will. So, but understanding that when we're doing a magazine for a law firm or an insurance agency, let's say, they're the expert on insurance. We're not. We can help guide them through keyword analysis to figure out what is it that people in your marketplace are searching for that will help guide the content. Like, don't write about, remember all the rave, going back 6-8 years was cybersecurity insurance. Well, that's great because it was a relatively new product in the industry. However, even at the time, a lot of people were not searching, nor were they, through our analysis, it showed that they weren't as interested in cybersecurity insurance as the insurance agents were, right? However, I remember having a conversation. However, do you know how many people are looking for contractor insurance? Do you know how many people are looking for landlord insurance? Do you know how many people are looking for professional services, accountant insurance in your marketplace? It's a lot. Let's write articles about that. That's what people are looking for. So we help guide them with the content that is created. We always kick every production run off with a kickoff meeting where we do a flat plan, we lay out, and we basically have a map of the magazine with the topics covered. Now, here's the fun part, saying, okay, so we're going to, in this magazine, we're going to have 8 articles in total. Some are 1 pages, some are 2 pages, some are 4 pages. We're going to have 8 articles in total. Now, one of the things that we do is we work with nationally known contributors to do licensed content. So we actually license content. Like if you're putting out a business magazine, we have content from Tom Peters, Pat Lencioni, Seth Godin. There's so many thought leaders, Carol Dweck, all these, Brene Brown is a contributor. We have a goal to get Oprah as a contributor. Has not been successful yet, but we're still working on it. Mm-hmm. But we get licensed content from them who, so we can put some of that content. I remember one guy said, you can get Gary Gary Vaynerchuk in my magazine. Yeah, we've got an agreement with his publisher. We can pull one of the articles in there. Or another client partner said, we would love to have a Jamie Oliver recipe. Well, we made it happen. And we got actually a permanent relationship with Jamie Oliver's publisher for recipes that we can pull and put into our magazines, no cost to the client partner. So that builds some of the articles with some really, like, how cool is it if you're not only putting out your own magazine, but Gary Vaynerchuk is a contributing author to your magazine. Right. That's pretty cool. So that helps. The other, let's say 5 or 6 articles are industry specific. And we know that you're the expert in your industry, but to make it easy, what we'll do is we jump on a phone call or a Zoom call with one of our production managers, and we'll interview you about carpentry insurance or contractor insurance. Okay, tell me about this. Tell me what do people need to know about this? And what if they're looking at it this way? We have a conversation. It might be 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes tops. A lot of people do it on their drive into work. We then take that content and we give it to a ghostwriter. ChatGPT is not quite there yet because that's a new thing. It's not quite there yet. But right now, it has been for the last 10 years, we hand that off to a ghostwriter who will write an article on what's in your mind, what came out, that we give them that recording. So it's all your information, writes the article, and then we have the article, we do the editing, the proofreading of that article with a separate proofreader. It gets sent back to you so that you can edit that article, because for myself, I've written 3 books now, published 3 books, written hundreds of articles. I'll let a secret out. I haven't written any of them, but I've edited every single one because they are my ideas. And sometimes the writer is a very talented writer. If I had to sit down and write an article, it would take me 3 hours. It would be terrible. Where if I can, what I do to do my articles, I use my smartphone in a recording app, and I'll do paces around the boardroom table. And I kind of outline what I want to talk about, and I'll do paces around, and a 10-minute recording does a 1,000-word article My ghostwriter writes it. I review it, make sure she hits the points that I want to hit. And then it goes back to a proofreader again, laid out for design, it's edited, and it's done. So we make it super easy to create the content. We come up with the plan together and then do those art interviews, have ghostwriters write the articles to make it simple. And then we take care of all the editing, proofreading, designing, all that stuff. And the other thing that we always encourage is that it doesn't matter what industry you're in, share the spotlight. We'll work with the key person to map out the content. But then I would say 90% of the cases, there's no one person that has more than one article in the magazine. So have other people be contributing authors or contributing contributing experts in your magazine. Have other staff members be contributing authors in your magazine, and you'll share that spotlight, raise their visibility in the marketplace, establish them as experts as well as yourself.
Yeah. This is incredible. I love the paradigm shift, and I hope that our listeners right now are thinking to themselves, holy cow, I just never thought that was possible. And you've mapped it out so beautifully today to kind of show us that this is like totally within reach and very doable. And I love that. So, okay, so there's some people out there right now that are like, holy cow, this is amazing. I've got to do this. How is the best way for them to get in contact with you and to start to go down this path, to check it out and to start to maybe make this part of what they do?
Sure. Well, I mean, we always invite people to visit our website. Now, we do have a landing page. So here's a special offer for your listeners. We have a page on our website, and they can reach it at tm.media/double sales, because it's aligned with the book that we published, myself and my co-author, Jessica Embry, who works at Tulip Media Group. And in the book, Double Sales, Zero Salespeople, it's mostly around digital marketing, that book. We have another one around the print marketing called How to Win Clients and Influence People. But at that website or that page, if they go there, you can buy a copy of the book. You can do all kinds of stuff. But one of the cool things you can do, and this is a great offer, is for your audience, is there's a Calendly link there, and you can book half hour if you want to just bounce ideas or get some advice. Book a half an hour call in either my calendar or Jessica's calendar, and we can always start there.
I love that. That's awesome. And what a cool opportunity. Guys, you need to own ink in your industry. I love that. That is great.
Own ink in your industry. That's right.
Own ink in your industry. This is so cool. And I mean, I just can't see why you wouldn't want to do this and why you wouldn't want to get started. Guys, you got to check out Andy's stuff. Andy, leave us with some wise words before we head out.
Wise words. Well, your introduction made me sound so much smarter than I am. You know what? I think no matter what. So one thing I always come back to, that people will ask us, what kind of a marketing strategy should we have? We're in the insurance business, or we're in the manufacturing business. What kind of a marketing strategy should we have? And to me, I always say the same thing, is that what's your business strategy? Because a marketing strategy just supports your business strategy. So you've first got to figure out, where do you want to take your business? Be clear on that. Where do you want your business to be in 3 years' time? Now, how can marketing, what does that mean from a business development standpoint, and how can marketing support that growth? So when you're thinking of marketing strategy, first think about, where do I want to take my business? And then back into the marketing strategy that will support that business growth. A lot of people, when they're just looking at their marketing process or tactics or strategy, they don't consider the bigger picture, and start there. So important to do that. And then your marketing will actually have a chance of doing what you want it to do for your business.
I love it.
That would be my words of wisdom.
That's amazing. Okay, guys, go check out tm.media/double sales. Get those books. This is all amazing. And go get connected with Andy and his team. They're going to help you out and really make a difference. Thank you so much for joining us today, Andy. This has been so much fun. And look forward to chatting again soon. Guys, until next time, don't forget, you got to keep working on your choreography in your business. We'll talk to you next time. See you on the next episode. Take care.
Thanks for joining us today.
Want more business choreography?
Check out our website at bizchoreo.com to find out more.
And find out how the choreography for your marketing, operations, and sales can raise your revenue and create more impact.
Remember, every business needs choreography.